Ready to light up your lower body and build glutes that actually grow? Then let's dive into this killer leg day that targets your booty from every single angle. First up, we have our sumo deadlifts. Big fan of utilizing the barbell with these so you can really keep the bar as close to your shin as possible so you can force that hinge and let that muscle stay under tension for as long as possible. Really love to utilize each rep in a 4-second tempo. And with these ones, biggest focus here is on the hinge. You can see this in this next upcoming video, but the entire goal is to push that hip back and make sure your knees and toes are tracking at a 45-degree angle. It just feels like such a vibe when you get that good glute tension and you can feel your muscles engaging the entire time. But the biggest focus here is pausing at your mid shin, driving through your glute as you're coming all the way up. Good posture at the top, and then just allow those hips to continue to glide back, keeping the tension the entire time, really making sure that you're choosing an appropriate weight so you don't lose the range of motion at the bottom and have to reset before you're able to come all the way back up to the top. If your ideal focus is to glow your glutes, being conscious of your weight selection, modifying your reps, and increasing your load is where the gains are going to come from. Next up, we have our hip thrust. It is always a struggle doing these in the apartment gym, making sure that the barbell pad is sufficiently placed. When you set this up, you want to make sure your back is touching the bench. You'll know if you're the correct position because you've got your sports bar line on that bench, really pushing those glutes all the way back. And then coming to that tabletop position, you can see that my knees are in line with my ankles. I have that parallel position at the top, and I'm really engaging my glutes as I finish each rep. Now, we're trying to build our glutes, which means the weight's gotta get heavy. One of the best things you can do for glute growth is heavy hip thrusts and calves glute bridges. So every single set as the reps are dropping, the weight's going up, really working to keep those muscles under tension as long as possible. Now, I know so many people love to say that you can build your glutes through back squatting, but as somebody with a displaced C-spine and a TBI, I limit how much I back squat. So I'm obsessed with sumo squats. I always finish the rack in my apartment gym, but really making sure knees and toes are tracking at a 45-degree angle. You're breaking parallel, dropping that little cheek down. And I personally like to angle my dumbbells so I get a little bit more depth here. You can also put plates underneath your toes to drive more weight into your glutes to keep them under tension longer. Now, we are willingly doing Bulgarians, which means a prayer and a banger is necessary to get through this. And so I like to set myself up from the floor. You can also set yourself up sitting on the bench with your legs extended. If you want a little bit more glute activation, that's where the hinge will come in. And if you want more quad, you can always keep your posture up and down. Now, the glute cable kickback is money. You're really finishing out the rounding of your glutes here with your glute med, and making sure you have sufficient tension to start this movement is such a game changer. So I always make sure I take a step back. There's tension on the cable before I even get into this movement. And I'm really making sure that as I'm able, I go up in weight, but I'm not necessarily focused on super heavy weight here because oftentimes you lose the range of motion, which is what you need. And so I personally have these ankle straps. They're linked in my Amazon storefront, but they're a little bit softer and make this way more tolerable. And I love working the unilateral muscle engagement with a lot of these exercises you'll see today, really sufficiently engaging both sides of my glutes instead of just focusing on compound heavy lifts. I like to pair my heavy lifts up with a lot of different types of kickbacks because they are so beneficial in rounding out your glutes. One of my favorite ones is a cable straight leg kickback. The setup is the hardest part of this. You are sweating when you're setting it up because you have to really find the appropriate angle for the cable to clear the bench, which is not always easy. But once you do, lock your core out, get that solid range of motion, feel that booty cheek engage, and make sure you're finishing every single rep as you're coming up. You can see as my leg comes down, I get that glute engagement at the top, and I slowly lower that cable with as much control as I possibly can. Building your glutes takes time, it takes recovery, it takes optimizing your nutrition, but it's one of those things that's not going to happen overnight. So come back to the channel, follow along for more workouts, and we'll get into it again.